Hello and welcome to the Strong, Healthy, Happy podcast. I am your host, Debra, and today's episode is my check-in feedback and common questions to my Feel Great, Lose Weight group coaching ladies who have just reached the end of week 2. Now, recording it as a podcast is to benefit not just the ladies that are taking part in my group, but also for you, the listener, as you may be able to resonate with some of the challenges that they are experiencing as part of coaching. It's not always smooth sailing, although they always have my support and the support of the community to help them as much as possible. You know, we're all human and we have lives, and sometimes our lives get in the way of the goals that we're trying to pursue. So there are lots of take-home things that you'll be able to take from this podcast episode. Alongside challenges, I also celebrate the wins that my clients are experiencing and just talk about general issues. And this leads me to starting off this week's episode with some common things that I've sort of found having gone through everybody's check-in forms this week. And it seems to be happening not just with one person, but with a few of the ladies in the group. Now, I know when I coach, whether it's one-to-one coaching or group coaching, is when I set those ladies that track calories, because not all my clients do track, but those ladies that track calories is I know because as I start working with someone, they reveal this to me once we've built up more of a relationship, more of trust. And when they realize that what I'm advising them and recommending them to do is actually the right thing to do in order for them to progress towards their goal. But before they realize that, they feed back to me that when I give them a calorie target, in their mind, they're like, oh, well, I'm not sticking to that. I'm not doing that because not because they don't trust me, but because their thought process has been so ingrained over years of yo-yo dieting that less is always better, or less means you'll make more progress, when actually the reason they're with me is that what they've been doing hasn't been working. But it takes a while to build that trust and take my recommendations on board. Now, I noticed, having gone through my clients' check-ins, and I use a coaching app which brings all the data into one place from all my clients. So I can see their steps, I can see whether they're tracking food, whether they're using food photos, I can see their exercise, I can see all their habit tracking, I can see everything, all their data. And it's all in this app. And having looked through the app, I can see that a few of my clients have been reducing their calorie target from what I set them. Now, the issue with this is, apart from being able to trust me, the issue with this is that, in theory, putting yourself into a bigger deficit by having a lower calorie target will help you lose weight more aggressively, right? Because you're going to be in a bigger deficit. The issue lies with your ability to stick to it more than a day, more than a couple of days, more than a few days, is having the ability to stick to it. And with super low calories, it can lead to excessive hunger. And when you get in the position of being excessively hungry, it can then lead to you not being able to manage that hunger, having one thing not satisfying you, and you end up also perceiving that you've ruined things, and then end up overeating. And you end up overeating on more calories than if you just had the higher calorie target that I set you. And this is where the issue with super low calorie goes. Now, those ladies in the group coaching that have been reducing their calories, now, like I say, it sounds great in theory, but it's not always possible in practice. You all have busy lives. Many of you have families. You are busy people. And when you're busy, yes, during the day, you may not notice that you're eating less because you're distracted, you're working, you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. But then hunger hits you when you're less distracted. usually in the evening. And then as a result of that, it's leading to you picking, snacking, licking, biting, overeating, and losing control because of the excessive hunger. So my advice to you is, remember that I set you a calorie range. So I don't expect my clients to be like robots. I don't give you a number and expect you to hit that number on the nose every single day, because depending on how active you've been, depending what you're coping with in life, depending how you feel, your hunger levels some days may be lower and some days may be higher. And this is why I've set you a calorie range. And I've set you a careful calorie range that gives you less calories if you're not hungry and more calories if you are hungry. But it's within a range that will still put you in a deficit, even if you're at the higher end of the calorie range. And so you going on super low calories, lower than the lower calorie range that I have set you, is not going to serve you well. And many of you, in fact, those of you who have reduced your calories, you are not sticking to it. And interestingly, you're not making progress on the scale. Now, I know that's a bit of tough love, but I'm not backwards in coming forwards when it comes to, giving tough love. I am a coach. I've been taken on to help you achieve your goals. And when I see something that isn't serving you well, I'm going to call you out on it, because I always have your best interests at the forefront of my mind and at the center of my heart, and the reason for the feedback that I'm giving. So please use the calorie range that I've given you. If you have an issue and you want to talk to me about your calorie target and your calorie range, put it in the group chat and I will review it. But we need to communicate on that and not you take your own action because it's not working. A really positive thing, again, that's been trending amongst my group is I ask my ladies, those of the ladies that use scale weight, not all of my ladies use that measure of progress. And I use 3 measures of progress: photos, progress photos, measurements, and scale weight. With scale weight, some of my ladies who have find the scales problematic, they don't use them. But the ladies that are weighing themselves, they are feeling really positive about my request at asking them to weigh themselves frequently throughout the week. Now, I recommend daily, but as a minimum, sort of 4 to 5 times a week. And the reason for that is that your scale weight will fluctuate. It's normal, right? You're a human being, and various things beyond your control can sometimes fluctuate your scale weight. And when you learn that your scale weight does fluctuate each day, it will enable you to respond with a lot more of a mindful way than if you react, oh my God, my scale's gone up. What I'm doing isn't working. This isn't working. I'm just going to throw the towel in. And this happens most often when you weigh yourself once a week. And those of you going to dieting clubs, listening to this podcast, obviously my clients aren't, they're coaching with me and they know better. But when you go to your diet club once a week, especially if you go in the evening, your scale weight is not an accurate measure at that point of the day. And it could have been lower the day before, but you won't know because you didn't take that scale weight measurement. So taking control and flipping scale weight on its head by using it in a more empowered way to understand and recognize that your scale weight fluctuates is really positive, because you will not react. You will respond if it fluctuates by just carrying on and doing all the things you need to do. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, in fact, no, I'm going to go on to my client wins. So I'm going to start with Rebecca. She has stuck to all her nutrition targets this week. She's really proud of that because she's had a social event. She enjoyed a few drinks at her social event, but she set herself up really well. She made she made a pre-made dinner, which she prepared ahead of the social. And this way it meant that she didn't get a takeaway on the way home, and usually she would have done, and she would have eaten food that didn't support her goal. And the issue with grabbing the takeaway also will probably impact the choices that she made after having the takeaway. So she pre-made her dinner, she had it for when she got in, she still enjoyed her social event, she was mindful of how much alcohol she was drinking, she still had a few drinks, and she had a good time. Now, Debbie is feeling impatient to see results this week. Now, there has been movement on the scales, but she was expecting more and tells me that she still can't fit into lots of her clothes from last summer. And what can she do? Now, this is my response. So, Debbie, listen up. You've been coaching 2 weeks. How long has it taken you to get to the point you're at now? How many years? And you're expecting to fit in your clothes from a previous summer after 2 weeks of coaching. So my advice to you is set your expectations, because if you set your expectations too high and you don't meet them, you're going to think that you failed, when in fact you haven't failed. You are making progress. Just might not be as quick as you want that progress to be, but it takes time and it takes consistency and not giving up. It also comes down to the accuracy at which you're tracking your nutrition. You are using food tracking, a tracking app to track your food intake. And it's really important that you tighten up your tracking accuracy and that you are tracking absolutely everything that passes your lips, and all your drinks that contain calories. So contains calories means, your lattes, your milky coffees, teas, shakes, fresh juices, anything that isn't water, sugar-free squash, and a diet soda type drink, you need to be tracking. Now, if I'm right in saying you eat lunch at work, it is provided for you, and you are tracking the best that you can, you obviously aren't preparing that food, so you don't know the exact ingredients, and you're not going to get out your weighing scales either in a work environment, which I would never expect you to do. But what I would advise you to do is to overestimate your portion sizes. They're looking a little bit small. I would overestimate. And even if you've overestimated and it's overestimated incorrectly, you're helping yourself achieve your goal by overestimating. And it's better you overestimate than underestimate, think you got loads of calories left, eat them, and then end up in a surplus, which will slow down your progress. The other thing I want you to be aware of is the food that you might be picking. Now, we all do it, right? I do it. We all do it on occasion. But if your goal is fat loss, all those bites, picking, licking, nibbling, finishing the kids' food, whatever it is not, you're standing up, you're not thinking about it, you are not eating in a mindful state. If you do that every day and don't track it, it will really add up, and it will add up to a lot more than you realize. And that could be a reason why you're not making as much progress on the scales. Now, I'm not saying you are doing these things, but the chances could be quite high because we all do it. Now, if you find yourself picking and not eating in a mindful state, practice calling yourself out and telling yourself, what are you doing? You're not eating in a mindful state. And let's face it, eating and picking like that is not an enjoyable way to enjoy your food. And when you're not eating in a mindful state, you don't even know that you're eating, you don't enjoy it, there's no pleasure from it. And it's calories that you're not accounting for. The final piece of advice is to show some patience. You have to have patience. You have to keep your head down, get on with ticking off your daily boxes, achieving the targets and the goals that I have set you to the very best of your ability. Remember, we're looking for consistency, not perfection. And just continue doing that and trust the process. It takes time. Debbie is loving the support. She's enjoying tracking. She's enjoying the follow along workouts. And she says that I have the patience of a saint for all my silly questions. And Debbie, my response to that is no question is ever too small or too silly. Keep asking them. I love answering questions. And if anyone is listening and you have questions, look at my contact details in the show notes. Message me, ask me questions. I love questions. And for my coaching community, ask me questions. I welcome questions. Put them in our chat group because if you're thinking it, I bet you someone else in the chat group is also. They'll be really glad that you asked that question. Now, Tara, prior to coaching, Tara wasn't exercising regularly. She had a very low step count. She works full time. She has a young family. Her time seems to be pulled in all direction. But since coaching, she has prioritized time to walk and exercise, and she is feeling really good for it. And it's one of her non-negotiables now that she achieves each week, and she's doing a great job with it. Now, Stella, great progress from Stella this week. Stella is a full-time student. She also works around her studying, and she's been able to make really smart choices within her calorie limit. She tracks her food, and she has enjoyed food or takeaway food, but she's been a much more mindful. She's made good choices and she's been able to fit it into her daily calories, which proves that you can still eat the food you enjoy and hit your target and progress towards your goal. She's being generally a lot more mindful. She's feeling 100% better, is what she says in her check-in form. And she has worn some summer clothes, and she has felt really good in them. And I'm so pleased to hear that. She has also taken time to rest when she's needed it. And it's meant that she's had more energy to be more active and get better workouts the following day, which is great. Now, one of the challenges that Stella has dealt with, and again, this may apply to other people who are at work and maybe they don't have, a bit like you, Debbie, you have food provided at work, and anyone else that this is relevant to. So she's doing long shifts, and the only food that's available is fast food. Now, she does manage to resist getting the fast food, when it's unnecessary. And if she does go to the canteen and choose something, she tries to make the most healthiest choice that's possible. And this is really great. And this is you being more mindful and trying to make the best choices you can with where you're at. Now, she has suggested that she doesn't eat while at work and wait till she gets home. Now, my response to this is I don't like this approach, because what could potentially happen is that you go a long period of time without eating. And this will lead to you being extremely hungry. And when you get in after being at work and doing a long day, and she starts at 5 a.m., you could potentially grab the quickest and easiest thing available when you get through the door. And it may not be the best choice for you. And even if it is a good choice, the chances are it won't touch the sides, because your hunger level has dropped to such a low level that nothing is going to satisfy you. Nothing touches the sides, and you could end up overeating. Now, if anyone listening to this, or anyone in my coaching community, I would really recommend that you avoid long periods of time without eating, and that you make sure that your hunger doesn't drop below mild hunger before you eat something. And in Stella's case, take some food in with you, something that's easy, even if it's a protein bar, a yogurt, some fruit, prepare a sandwich, high protein filling, or prepare your own meal if it's something that you feel able to take in with you to the work environment that you're in. But just have something with you so that if you do wait till you get home, you've still kept your hunger levels at bay by having some healthier, high protein and fruit-based snacks. Claire has been socializing this week, and she made a plan, which is what I always recommend. I've talked about this on on my other podcast episodes where I talk about social occasions. Having a plan and writing it down helps you stay accountable to that plan. And she says she's largely stuck to it, which is an improvement from what she may have done before. Well, probably what she did do before. And the most important thing that I want everyone to listen to is that she had a plan. She made choices. She showed compromise, but those choices and compromise did not impact her enjoyment of the event. And this is really important to note, because sometimes people think, oh, well, I can only enjoy myself if I drink large amounts. And actually, if you try it and reduce your alcohol intake, you'll be very surprised. I'm sure you can still have a good time, be your usual fun self without the need of drinking large quantities of alcohol. Now, I talked about scale weight earlier on in the podcast. She has seen her scale weight fluctuate this week, but it did not throw her off track. She's pulled herself back from the I've blown it mindset, which is great, because often that can happen where people think that they've ruined things. And it's not what they may have done that ruins things, it's what they do after what they think they've done that ruins things. It's not the one biscuit you had that ruins things. It's not the 100 extra calories you ate that ruins things. It's your perception that you've ruined things and the action that you take thereafter, usually resulting in hitting the fuck it button. It's Claire's birthday this week, so happy birthday, Claire. Enjoy your day. Your family's gone to a lot of effort to celebrate your birthday with you. Be mindful, enjoy your birthday, and get back to your normal routine straight after. Right, I'm going to just let my dog in the door. Bear with me. Okay, this is live podcasting. Okay, Sonia's done 3 workouts. She's almost hit her step count. She's been very consistent at hitting her protein and, creating good meals, including plenty of veg. They're keeping her full. She's not experiencing any hunger, which is great when you're in a calorie deficit. The thing that I am a little bit concerned about, Sonia, is that you're feeling shattered all the time, even though you're getting plenty of sleep. Now, I've looked at the data that I get on the coaching app, and I've seen that, Sonia, you're eating under your calorie target, and it is under the lower range of your calorie range. So this could be one of the reasons why you're feeling so shattered. You're exercising really hard and you're eating quite low calories, and low calories can affect your mood and your energy. So my message to you is to bump those calories up a bit. I have adjusted your calorie target, so go look at it. And to get your calorie range, you want to do approximately 100 calories below it and 100 calories above it, and average that calorie target I've given you. With your workouts, you're rating them as really high effort. Just reduce the intensity a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of time to recover and continue prioritizing your sleep. If nothing changes, then I would always recommend going to see your GP and possibly getting some blood tests, seeing what they say. Now, Laura's going through a really difficult time in her personal life. She has taken the pressure off herself this week, showing herself self-kindness and compassion, which is really important to do. She is feeling overwhelmed with life, but does want to continue benefiting her health and weight loss goal. And what I would recommend to you, Laura, is reducing overwhelm. Now, Laura doesn't track her food. She uses food photos. What I would recommend, Laura, is to minimize overwhelm. And this is relevant to anybody listening who never knows what they want to eat, never has the ingredients in their house, never has anything prepared. You're a little bit of a, fly by the seat of your pants. This is what I would recommend, because a lot of diets fail because of decision making. It's known as decision fatigue. And if every day you're like, oh, what am I having for breakfast? What am I having for lunch? What am I having for dinner? It's all a bit too much. So what I would recommend is that you have the same breakfast every day. Keep it consistent. Pick something you enjoy. Make sure it hits that 25 minimum grams of protein. You can always check it with me in the group. Making sure you've got added fruit and veg to that, or veg or fruit to that breakfast. So something like a yogurt bowl or a porridge, oats and fruit, and yogurt is all good. And have a choice of 2 lunch options. Stick to them. It's either A or B, and stick to it. And it will help reduce your overwhelm, will help you keep consistent as well. You can have a bit more flexibility with dinner as long as you're having serving of protein and plenty of veg. And a really easy thing to do is just reduce your carb portion, not because it's bad, just because carbs are really easy just to reduce. So if you have a big potato, have a medium potato. If you have half a packet of rice, have a third of the packet of rice. Things like that. And you'll reduce your calorie intake, not notice it, because you're going to fill up the space on your plate from the missing carb with extra veg. And it's a really easy thing to do. Now, Vicky is feeling low energy and hungry, and on reflection, she realizes she hasn't been eating enough at meal times. And this is really common. And like listeners, if you're not coaching and you come from a yo-yo dieting background or you're at the diet clubs, the chances are you're eating really small meals. I would term as probably a snack during the day. It's not uncommon. You're not alone, but it is really important that you are eating nutritious meals that satiate you, that you enjoy and leave you feeling satisfied. You will usually experience satisfaction from eating foods that you enjoy. That not thinking, because you're trying to lose weight, that you have to eat a Rivita cracker and a cherry tomato to lose weight. And I see it in coaching when clients start coaching with me. I've seen it in food diaries this week, ladies, in my group coaching. It doesn't work. It is not hitting your protein target, first of all. It is not filling. It is not satiating. And the chances are it will lead to you overeating and snacking in the evening. And you will eat far more calories doing that than if you just had a more nutritious, filling, and substantial meal. Now, I know this takes time to get your head around. I know that you need to build trust that eating more during the day is going to reduce your likelihood of snacking and overeating in the evening. But you won't know, and you won't be able to build that trust and proof unless you try it. But there is a 99% chance you eating more during the day will keep you full, will keep you satisfied. Remember, protein and fiber from your veg and your fruit keeps you fuller for longer. You will be less hungry. You will be less likely to want to snack because you'll be feeling quite content and full. Remember, there's no issue with having a snack, but you will be more likely to enjoy a sweet treat or a snack of your choice and enjoy it and move on and not let it lead to another snack and so on and so forth. So bump up your meals during the day, Vicky. Now, social occasions, things I've been asked this week. Okay, questions I've been asked this week that are going to help everybody listening, including my coaching community. So it's a bank holiday weekend coming up. You've got probably social occasions coming up. I know my clients do. And I have recorded a podcast all about social occasions. And I encourage you, I can't remember the episode number. It is done. I did it recently. I think it might be episode 26. Go take a listen to it. And I've done others. The other podcast I would recommend you listen to is Picking Your Indulgences. Picking Your Indulgences, again, that is episode 5. Go take a listen to it. Picking Your Indulgences is basically when you make a decision what it is that you really want. Because if you eat all the indulgences you want, if you eat the crisps, the chips, the dessert, the alcohol, it's too many indulgences and it's not going to take you closer to your goal. It's going to move you further away from your goal. What is it that you really want? Which one of those things is it that you really want? Pick it, enjoy it, and move on. But be prepared to make compromises. Be prepared to sometimes say no, thank you, and be prepared to be a little bit disciplined if you want to continue making your progress. Those of you tracking calories, work backwards. Put your social event food in first, especially if you know what it is ahead of time, or if you're eating out, check the menu. Track that in first and work your day backwards. Don't skip your other meals. You may want to keep them lighter and just keep them protein and veg or fruit based. Another question is managing hunger during menstrual cycle. Now, a lot of my clients are in menopause, not all of them. Some of my clients still have a menstrual cycle. And even if you're in menopause, you can still uh, experience the same cravings that you had when you had a menstrual cycle. Now, how can you manage it? How can you manage those cravings? So, first of all, eat 3 nutritious meals a day. Keep that consistent. It is really important, like I've just said, to eat those 3 meals a day. Ideally, no more than 4 hours apart, protein and veg based. The calories that you're craving during menstrual cycle are not as many as you think. The body works a little bit harder when you have a menstrual cycle, but it's only about 200 to 300 calories a day. So it's not as much as you think. But those calories, if you need them, use them and have something that will satisfy your craving, but then move on. You adding in a couple of extra hundred, a couple of hundred, start again, a couple of hundred extra calories will not ruin your progress, but you going on a bender will. So be strategic and put a planned increase in of those couple of hundred extra calories so that you can include the chocolate or the food that you are craving. Something that Amber's done really well this week is she went to a family gathering. Um, she found it difficult to track the food, um, which is fine. Sometimes that happens depending on sort of what sort of food it was. Although I would always recommend you track something rather than nothing. And if it's like buffet, typical cold buffet food, remember, M&S, Tesco's, sausage rolls, whatever it is that you've had, you can track. And again, always overestimate. Now, she did do something really well, and that was she used the 80% full, eating to 80% full. And this is something I talk about on my previous podcasts with social occasions. And also I use in my coaching because it's a really easy method to apply anywhere, anytime, and help you not eat past fullness. And eating to 80% full takes a little bit of time to recognize, but it's you leaving a little bit of hunger at the end of your meal. So you're not eating to 100% fullness or satisfaction, you're leaving a little bit. And you're left a little bit wanting, and this is you being in a calorie deficit. This is all my feedback from this week. Thank you for joining me. And if you're interested in my next group coaching intake, contact me on my contact details in the show notes. Let me put you on the wait list, and I will let you know when the new date comes out for the next group coaching. Have a great rest of your day. Well done to my ladies for everything they have achieved this week. And I will catch up with you in the group, ladies. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening.